As college and university students across the city settle into their school routines, many international students are still facing basic questions about where they're going to live and how they're going to afford it. Humber College is trying a new approach to housing and the housing crunch. Their new program is going to pair international students with seniors in the community. Ian Crookshank is the Dean of Students at Humber College. He's with me now on a very busy morning, I'm sure. Ian, good morning.
Morning, Jill. Thanks for having me.
How does this program work?
Okay, well, so it's a partnership with a company called SpacesShared, and essentially what the platform does is it takes what traditionally has been home sharing or homestay type programs and kind of moves it into the future. So the platform vets both the students and the hosts. It's a platform where the student would pay through the platform to the host, and essentially allows for folks with additional housing capacity in their houses. So let's say seniors or older Canadians, to open up that housing capacity, potentially earn a little bit of income through it, but also offer rent to students. In exchange, students could receive a discount if they agree to do certain tasks around the home that might help around the house, like say mowing the lawn, doing the dishes, or even just spending time and providing companionship.
So it has a potential to be a win-win for both sides.
Absolutely, and the community as well, right? When we think about mental health and how that impacts folks who might have that extra space in their house, or how it might impact a student, those connections, those opportunities, and then a connection into somebody who is connected into the community, or someone who's new here, is incredibly important. So all around a win-win.
Over 500 students have already signed up for this at Humber. What does that tell you about the state of housing for international students?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot has been discussed in the media recently. I think it's evident that housing across the country for all is a bit of a challenge, in particular finding affordable and supportive, safe housing. And then if you add into that the complexity of being new into an environment, maybe not necessarily knowing what the real estate market looks like, or what the processes are to rent a space, adds an additional nuance or complexity for international students who may not have the same level of community support, say, as a domestic student, from that perspective. So it's a complex situation that they're grappling with across the nation, and that we're grappling with.
We've had international students on the show who have said they believe there's a huge disconnect from what they've been told by recruiting agents and then the reality of life for them in this country. Why do you think that's happening?
Well, I can't necessarily speak to why it's happening. I think one of the things that we try to do, and I can speak to Humber specifically because that's where I work and where my experience is. So we try and communicate early and often. We try and provide as much information on our websites as possible to give folks a sense as to what they're getting into when they come to live here. And that looks like everything from housing to commute times from certain spaces, what the food and the culture is like. So there's an effort to be transparent. And certainly, the college has signed on to a set of standards where we commit to being transparent with our students. And that's our goal from day one, is that folks arrive here with an understanding of what this looks like. We work with our agents to ensure that transparency is there, and that folks feel like they have a full understanding of what coming into a very busy GTA looks like from wherever they're coming from, whether that be a domestic student from outside of this area to an international student who's traveling from abroad.
We are bringing in, though, a record number of international students, and considering the lack of housing, is this even sustainable?
Well, I think the key piece is that we're bringing in the students are coming in. We're heavily connected to the nature of the experience that they bring and why they're coming here. I think as a country, we've committed to, and as a province, we've committed to increasing the number of skilled workers within our labor force. international students are an avenue to do that, and a strong avenue to do that. So I think, it's a really challenging question to ask or to consider, whether or not it's sustainable, because I think on one hand, it's needed, and on the other hand, I can see the challenge that students are facing firsthand on our own campuses.
But there are also higher tuition fees that are being brought or certainly delivered through the international students. How much do colleges and universities rely and need the fees from these students?
That's a great question. So I think, in general, and generally speaking, I think, the tuition fees are set with an understanding of the gap or the difference between what a domestic student pays and what the province funds. And I think the higher fees oftentimes reflect that amount. Certainly, I think, that there is couldn't say that the revenue doesn't help institutions. And I can speak to kind of Humber's experience, whereby, I think we are committed to doing things in a sustainable way. So
I'll leave it there, and we'll follow up with you and see how this initiative is working as the semester progresses. Ian, thank you.
Thanks so much, Jill. Enjoy your day.
Ian Crookshank is the Dean of Students at Humber College. More play zones and improved access to public space, just some of the new additions to the province's controversial